Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from the unsanctioned fried groundhog on a stick booth that Allan Gilbreth set up at the annual Cooper Young Festival. How's it selling, Allan?
Actually, it's going like hotcakes.
Okay.
Dip them in that Pronto Pup mix, man. It looks. It's. Look at this way. You get 4 drumsticks.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. The health department guy is making his way here, so you better make
It'd
it.
be all right. I got a license. It's okay.
Anyway, whatever. And Brandon's rolling his eyes once again. Go ahead, Max.
I guess the sign says Punxsutawney, fill your stomach.
There
That's
you go.
exactly right.
Hey, not bad,
Yeah, I
Max.
quit.
Pretty good. Hey, so anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max back at the studio. And sitting in, guest correspondent, our pal Craig Brewer, local filmmaker, well, you know, writer,
International man
filmmaker.
of-
I'm local, especially during the Cooper Young Festival.
Right, and we're not even going to pretend. I know that we always join you on Sundays, but today this is a recording because we're here at the Cooper Young Festival. And, you know, so we're talking to you on Sunday, but whatever. It's Saturday. Let's not lie.
This is the way that I get around the strike rules, where
Well,
like I'm not
exactly.
actually doing any sort of promotion for anything if I'm pre-recorded, because
Right.
then it's like Minority Report. It's a pre-crime.
Are you making that rule up, Craig? Or is that true?
Yeah, I'm in
Okay.
not. I just want to
Wait,
be
wait.
clear to everybody listening. I am in not any
Wait
sort
a
of
second.
violation.
Hold on.
Hey,
You're a
I got my
director.
vote card. I'll vote.
I'm a director. I know, and we did.
DGA's got you covered, man.
We did not go on strike, but I also am a writers guild.
But we're not going to talk about the things you wrote.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
Craig, it's a great opportunity to have you here because, I mean, you're in the thick of things with the strikes, and I'm sure it's affecting you both ways. So we wanted to talk about that with you a little bit today, of course,
As
and
much as
hopefully,
we can.
Yeah.
as much as you're allowed to without getting into trouble, and also later we're hoping you'll stick around because Ahsoka, it was a pretty noteworthy episode of Ahsoka, and for those that don't know, Craig is of course a diehard Star Wars fan. You're a geek like us. You fit right in.
I would like to aspire to be so. Yes, but
And in
yes.
fact, if you're listening out there at Lucasfilms, you've made it clear you'll work for them in any you want.
You know, I was supposed to go to the volume
Right.
the week of the pandemic outbreak. So, literally, a global pandemic kept me from going to the soundstage where they did Mandalorian.
It'll happen.
Well, we're going to show you some business. Don't worry. We're going to get you in.
So
We'll
Craig,
make some calls.
What can you tell? What is the what does this look like from your end? And I mean, do you have any inside information, or what does it?
You know,
feel like
I
right
have
now?
no inside information other than what we get. You know, we get updates that we got a victory that for us the other day was that we got a notification that talking is going to start happening. Like sometimes the strike, you know, officials and or negotiators, excuse me, and the studios, they have a meeting to basically talk about when they're going to have a meeting. And I think finally now they're starting to talk again.
It's a lot of strategy. I mean, I guess they got to make sure that people are suffering enough, right? I mean, if you're a writer,
Yeah,
you just
I
lost
think
your
that's
home or something.
Well, I think, you know, that kind of stuff was coming out early in the strike, but I got to be honest, like I don't think anybody's thinking like that, at least on the side of the strikers. I don't think any of the actors or any of the writers. Yes, everybody is. Don't get me wrong. Everybody is really, you know, not doing what. Some people are really having to like rethink the way they live because they may have to like sell their house or take their kids out of school or whatever they're dealing with. But they're real unified. I mean, like, it's kind of unprecedented how much people are going, like, if they're going to take us till next year, we'll take it as long as we need to go, because they really feel that what they're fighting for is important, and I believe it too. There's a lot that needs to get settled right now because the whole business model of Hollywood changed, and everybody figured out how to make money off of it, except the writers and the actors and the directors, because that model that we usually were paid from no longer exists really because of streaming.
It's a weird world out there.
Well, I mean, I was reading somewhere that it would, in order to pay their writers and actors what they're
What they
asking
want.
for, would cut into about 2% of what the CEOs are making.
It has nothing to do with profits for them. It
No,
has
it's
to do
all
with
about control.
Well, it's about control, because they feel that if can you imagine if like Eddie Murphy or like Adam Sandler knew exactly how many millions like an Amazon or a Netflix got if they knew that people were getting a subscription because they're watching his movies, then you start getting into a whole different conversation about how they will be paid, as opposed to, no, we're going to pay you for your services, but you can't enjoy any other kind of revenue that's started off of your content. And so, like, and I would say the Stranger Things guys probably would have an argument for that, because people actually dump their subscriptions sometimes for Netflix and then re-up their subscriptions right before
the next thing, season of Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's very difficult to track too. I mean, and it's like, and then like, okay, The Office. When back in stream, we would watch The Office. We would just have it on in the background. It was our comfort thing. Well, how? I mean, how does that get?
So I'm best friends. We went to high school together. His name is David Denman. He played. Remember in The Office? He's Roy. He's the guy in receiving. So he told me like that during the pandemic, suddenly The Office was keeping Netflix alive.
Right.
But none of the talent have a model for, like, if suddenly that was playing on TV and everybody was watching it, then they'd be compensated. Right. But because it's streaming, there's no compensation at all, because the people who own The Office sold it to the streaming service for a new model that doesn't exist anymore, a new model that the old ways don't apply to.
I guess that's what's weird is you get one technology change and it changes everything. Well,
right? That's why I keep telling people, like, this is why everybody should get involved in this strike, is that don't think that, like, the concept of AI taking a job stops at actors and writers and creators. It's the most obvious thing, because we love AI to make a picture for us or do something like that. But people in the medical industry, people in a lot of different industries are going to be dealing with AI.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can already see it happening. So, but
one thing you notice with the streamers, they are very secretive about their numbers.
Oh yeah,
they do not show you any.
Never told me.
No, it's interesting. So, but and you know, I guess there's an end in sight, but maybe not for a while. So, but anyway, we're going to discuss it more when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. If roasting porgs is wrong, then they don't want to be right. The Geek Patrol is back.
Yeah, how do you like your season, Craig? I mean, barbecue, dry rub.
I'm going to suggest Cajun.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Creole is awesome.
I rock with that. I really do.
What is wrong with you people? It's deep fried or nothing.
Okay.
You can have a little Cajun season to that.
That's true. But
there's other ways to achieve crunch, I've found in my savories.
Okay. Weird. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody.
You're the one that wouldn't eat them when I cooked them. I brought them in. You dared me to bring them in. You didn't eat it.
And we got to go ahead and chastise Max for bringing a food thing in, because Allan's going to run.
It's all food today. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max back at the studio, and our good friend Craig Brewer, local filmmaker, local icon, Hollywood man. He gives us the inside dirt on what's going on in Hollywood, and we're talking to you in sort of a time warp, because let's not lie, we're at the Cooper Young Festival.
Oh yeah,
it is Saturday. You're hearing this on Sunday, but whatever. We're
pre-recorded.
When you get a chance to hang out at the Cooper Young Festival and talk to our pal, we're going to do it.
It's the time continuum.
When our overlords at Cumulus say, get to the festival, we go to the festival.
Absolutely. So, hey, Craig, the strike, what do you – I mean, I guess you're paying attention to both, but in theory, you're more of a writer, right? I mean, than you are – you're not on camera. You haven't done the Alfred Hitchcock thing. So,
I haven't done that. I do. I'm only featured in one of my films. When you see a Craig Brewer film credit at the top of Footloose, those are my dancing feet.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Your feet. Oh, your feet.
You're
not
your
on camera.
feet.
I'm not.
Awesome.
But yeah,
okay,
I'm dancing.
I didn't see you on that.
And I rocked it. I have to say, I did
awesome.
a good job.
What were you wearing for shoes?
No, I was wearing exactly the same types of boots and jean cut that you see in the original Footloose that I always loved so much. It was a particular way that they cut the jeans that I said, I'm going to be that. Damn it, those are my feet.
I asked because I knew he would put that level of detail.
Oh yeah,
no,
it was.
Yeah, you're not going to just wear your gym shoes.
We've seen his movies.
Yeah.
It's all well thought.
Right.
Well, I approach kind of like the nerddom that I would have towards like a Star Wars or a Star Trek to like movies like Footloose and Coming to America. Like there's tons of little details in the background that I make sure that are. I always
you
tell
want
people
those Easter eggs in there. So.
Yeah. My favorite. I mean, John Landis was always the best person to put in all these Easter eggs. And the fun thing about his movies is you see in the background, "See you next Wednesday."
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know that or
that
not.
That was his signature thing?
That was his signature thing. Like in the Blues Brothers, it's on a billboard that one of the cars crashes through. Yep. In Coming to America, it's like a movie billboard starring Dan Aykroyd, "See you next Wednesday." And it's a line out of 2001.
I was about to say, what is that a line from? Okay,
it's
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's basically a guy is having like a teleconference with his daughter and then his mother and father, and they say, "See you next Wednesday."
Didn't he sneak it into the Thriller video?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Vincent Price says it when they're leaving. It's like, or not Vincent Price, or maybe it is. At the end of the movie, it's like, what does it say? "See you next Wednesday."
Right.
And
That's interesting. I like that stuff. And you haven't come up with your version of
I
it?
have my version of it. I don't tell many people about it.
Don't tell us. We should.
Oh,
we
no,
should
I'll tell you. It's kind of cool. But if you watch Hustle and Flow, there's this moment where Taryn Manning gets out of the car, and she walks in front of the car, and the camera comes like very close to her hiney, and it's in this downtown. It's this train style overpass, and the day we got up there, someone in big graffiti wrote "Allan loves Mamie," and across my set, and I was like, we were here last night. This wasn't here, and now it's here. And they said it'll cost us $1,000 to get somebody to sandblast it out of here. And I was like, you know what? Let's just roll with it. And now I put it in all my. It's in the background of Black Snake Moan, Footloose.
That is 100% Memphis, because if you've ever driven around, you've seen it.
Yeah. And I've always thought like it wasn't great graffiti.
Did you find out who the graffitiist was? Because obviously they knew you were shooting, right?
I don't know if they did or not, but I mean,
didn't know.
It was so basic, but it really kind of tugged at my heart a little bit. It's like, man, this guy had to be probably upside down writing that he loves this girl, Mamie. Mamie should really be.
It is probably the worst lettering ever.
Yeah,
It's upside down on a rope with a can of spray can. Yeah.
Now I wonder if they're still together.
But he tried.
Yeah, but "See you next Wednesday" versus "I love." I mean, that's a lot harder to work in, but you do it, huh? So.
I do it. As a matter of fact, get this. God bless Netflix, who I know we've been talking about against the strike and everything like that. But I went up to them after we had locked Dolomite as my name, and I was like, "Is there any more money in the budget? Because I don't have anywhere that says Allan loves Mamie." And so they said, "Tell you what, we'll put some graffiti on this wall that the studio that they build out of kind of like the bombed out hotel in Dolomite." So I have it now. They spent money for my silly tradition.
Okay, Craig,
That shows that they have faith in you.
No, Craig, I'm calling you out on this because I want you to consult with me as your budget consultant next time you shoot a movie. I could have fixed that with a magic marker. Just make a little Sharpie tattoo on somebody's arm that says, "I love Amy." Whatever.
Allan loves Mamie.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That sounds like a gross
Joe
waste of
art.
money.
You see why we're nodding.
I'm sorry.
I hear you, and I will do better.
All right, well, just see that you do, sir.
Don't listen.
All right, hey.
Really. I just want him to put Geek Tank in his next movie.
Hey, I am curious, though. How come you're not who's actually in these picket lines? Do they take turns for the strikes?
Yeah, I mean, when I go out to L.A., I'm going out there next week, and I've done Paramount, I've done Disney. I want to hit Universal.
So what is that like? I'm kind of curious what the vibe is. I mean, it's hot, right? And
well, I'll tell you, this is what I love is that the actors totally came to they are what we put them in front of the screen to be. They were like heroes. Like the writers were like they were 100 days in. It was hot, it was hard, and they were getting really like dispirited. And then suddenly the actors went on strike. They showed up with boom boxes. They were doing like karaoke in the middle of the day. It was the biggest part some of them ever been in. They just all like come down and the energy just went up so much that really gave a lot more positive feeling to striking, where some people when it's usually it's a serious thing and a sad thing, and we needed that bit of inspiration.
But how do you keep the public from just swamping and wanting to get autographs and photos and stuff like that? Is there barriers?
The public has been really, I think, respectful. And if anything, what's kind of cool is that I see a lot of actors getting like pictures with like famous actors and showing that we're all one big community. It doesn't matter if one person is wealthy and successful or not.
All right, very interesting. Hey, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio. We're visiting with our buddy Craig Brewer. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. What's the Klingon word for morons? The Geek Patrol is back.
It's Geek Patrol.
Okay. I have trouble pronouncing it. Sometimes it sounds like mushroom. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max back at the studio, and our friend Craig Brewer, local filmmaker and Hollywood. He's not a scab. He's sticking with the Strikers, right?
I'm sticking with the Strikers.
Okay. He's here in town, and we're here at the Cooper Young Festival. You're hearing this show yesterday, so... Go figure. That's the way it works.
I think that's the funniest thing you've ever added to the show, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. Space Continuum. Watch it fold.
But Craig, we were talking. I was hoping to get a lot of inside dirt about the strike. We were hoping you'd give us some confidential information, but really, you're whatever's out in the news is what you know. So.
One of the reasons why we're striking is because I'm just in the dark, like everybody else.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we talk about something we're all up to date on, which is Ahsoka Episode 5. Brandon, you said this one was released in theaters.
It was. And before we get into it, I want to say, Allan, you were right.
Oh,
he wasn't a blue ghost.
Okay.
He wasn't a blue ghost, but every scene he's in is shaded blue.
Spoilers,
that is very
by
true.
the way. Folks, we are
true.
dealing with spoilers. So,
Yeah, spoiler alert.
No.
Anakin might be a ghost.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
We weren't seeing this coming.
They released he was going to be in this episode like 3 months ago and took it to a theater. You think Anakin's going to show up?
They
You
released
think he is?
brand new posters of young Anakin, Captain Rex, and young Ahsoka
Yeah.
before the episode came out. So
I thought it looked good. I thought they looked.
No.
What did you think of the de-aging and stuff? I thought he looked.
Oh
pretty
no!
good.
It looked good.
Better than the last in Kenobi.
Well,
Well,
I think they've learned that the best way to do that is to obscure it in a memory
Yes.
or in a ghost world.
I felt that
so
was
everything's fuzzy.
They leaned into it a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Plus, like in the Kenobi, it was bright lights. It was supposed to be, So I think that was smart. Yeah, making it
Well,
ghost.
they also said this is his personal projection of himself. So you'll notice during the episode he does change. He does not look the same from scene to scene very subtly because he is projecting the lesson he's trying to get through to her.
I'm glad that you brought this up because I've actually put a lot of thought into why the choice of projections. Meaning, like when we see Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Force ghost, it's Alec Guinness, and I think that it makes sense because you want to believe that at the end of your life as a Jedi, you were probably at your most focused, understanding, peaceful. You are your best self.
Should be.
Whereas Anakin, I think, had a date. I think it makes sense that George went back in and got rid of like the older Anakin after. I get it for that time period, but I like that, like the idea of like no, Anakin was a good person that was good for Ahsoka up to this point, and therefore that is his best projection of his essence and his self.
That's the moment that Anakin died.
And
right. Vader was born.
Right.
And he says so himself. From a storytelling perspective, okay, and it seems like it's nice to see Hayden Christensen getting a lot of love now, and because some people talked about his performances before, but I guess I was wondering from a storytelling perspective, how do you think he did with this sequence with Hayden Christensen? Because I was
it's
like,
wonderful. No, I mean,
okay.
you know what?
What did she actually learn here? I don't know what I learned.
Oh, I know what she learned.
What do you think she learned?
I mean, I think that I think that if you look at like the Clone Wars and you look at where Ahsoka was coming from, and I think that's what's brilliant about the episode is that for people who weren't part of that whole movement, you got to see young, like bratty Ahsoka, and you get to see that dynamic of like a young Jedi and Anakin. But in the end, what is like the greatest act that a Jedi has done in the trilogy, and how can it not be Luke Skywalker with the upper hand over Darth Vader? To some extent, could go toe to toe with the Emperor and deciding. I mean, I remember as a young man, as a kid, watching him throw away the lightsaber and say, "No, I won't fight you. I'll never be like that. I'm a Jedi like my father was before me." And you felt like this. Oh, he's deciding to die, And to me, like that is the lesson that
he's all in.
That Anakin learned from Luke.
Right.
Even though he's younger, like he still has the that's why those flashes of him being Vader are apt because he's actually learned what even Luke gave him.
Okay, now you're just making me think of something. So in the episode when we see Ahsoka basically doing Luke's move of I'm not going to fight or whatever, it seemed like Anakin kind of learned something himself as a ghost. Is that what you picked up?
Well, I think so. But I think there's even personally, I think there's more heartbreak in it.
I don't think it's that. I think it's more along the lines of he realizes that he taught her better than he was himself.
Yeah.
And that's why he says, "There's hope for you yet."
Yeah.
Okay.
And she got delivered the message: you're going to lead whether you want to or not, and people are going to die.
Well, yeah, because his fight or die,
But
that was the other thing.
It's a war. All the things are going on. And she has pushed everybody away, and for 3 episodes has had the facial expression of a cabbage.
Yeah. And just to remind everybody in the fan base, out there, the thing to remember is that everybody gets like really critical of episodes if they're not giving you the juice right at the top.
Right.
And that's not how storytelling works. Everybody's got to calm down. Everybody's got to like stop looking like 2 episodes in and going, I don't like the way she folds her arms, or I don't like any of this. They've got to be okay with the fact that like, no, this is good because you've been waiting 4 episodes to see this moment with episode 5, and you're going to have a different 4 episodes after it. That's what storytelling over a long period is, and everybody's got to shut up.
You can't see this right now, but Craig Brewer is standing on top of the table.
I am.
This has always been my problem with modern day geeks, and we saw it in the middle of the seasons for Walking Dead when we had a cliffhanger, which is the first time geekdom has, since we became mainstream, has experienced a cliffhanger, and they lost their ever-loving mind.
Right. Yeah.
Because you need that suspense, and they just want it to be force-fed. It's why we have thousands of YouTube videos going, this is what this ending explained. Here's what you missed. It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't.
So be patient.
Right.
Be patient. That's what you got to do.
Well, and that sets up your next few episodes. Because now, I wonder if the whales are going to find Thrawn. No big deal.
Well,
we got to pay that off. But then what happens? Isn't there supposed to be a movie beyond this?
Yeah, I think that's what Filoni's doing. He's leading up to Heir to the Empire.
There we go.
And that's exciting. Just put some trust in this man, please, people.
Oh, we love Dave Filoni. So, all right. Well, we're going to continue the love when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Sharknado was an inside job. The Geek Patrol is back.
Somebody said it.
It had to be said, right?
Yeah.
So you've suspected that for a long time. In fact, weren't you making a documentary out of that?
Well, I was, but some sand sharks had a conversation with me, and I decided to move on to other projects. So
I got a sushi channel.
Those are the guys who run sci-fi, right?
Right.
Okay. Interesting. We'll be following that. We'll talk off air. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe. Sitting here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth, our buddy Max back at the studio, and our friend Craig Brewer, who is joining us here. You're listening to us yesterday. We were at the Cooper Young Festival. We're here now.
We are. It's beautiful.
Before the aliens came down.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, they'll know tomorrow. They're going to know what's going to happen, like about 3:00 today.
Right.
But,
and I know they're going to be saying it was such a shame what happened to Joe.
I know, poor Joe. But they would want him. They would want to probe him and learn.
All right, well, let's move along for that. Hey, Craig, by the way, we hope you're going to be in town for the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention coming up November 10th.
That would be fun. I always have a blast.
We're
going
talking about a few things. We might have announcements to make in the upcoming weeks involving you. We're going to.
That's right. Okay. Well, even more of an O.
Yeah. Okay. And, of course, we're looking forward to meeting our buddy Jonah Ray from Mystery Science Theater, the newer iteration, 3000. He's going to be there. We got a lot of great guests. Get your tickets at memphiscfc.com. It's going to be at a bigger venue, too, Craig. We're excited. We're going to the University of Memphis Holiday Inn. We're doing a lot of crossover with the university and the students and their departments, so it's great. We're really looking forward to being over there. So, but before the break, we were talking about Ahsoka, of course, and you're well-versed in Star Wars. Where do you – let's get some predictions out there. What's coming next? I mean, obviously – Thrawn is going to show up. It's just a matter of what episode. So.
I think the greatest thing that is happening right now is kind of what we've been talking about. Patience is paying off, and that is that I think that my generation can't believe that we're living in a prequels universe right now. I mean, if you think about it, everything that really is coming into bear to being in the pipeline that is informing the young kids of the Star Wars heritage is born out of the prequels. And I think that just Dave Filoni is one of those first original diehard fans of the prequels and saw what George Lucas was doing by expanding the universe. And as much as we wanted to be in the Millennium Falcon breaking down over and over, we wanted those things that we had in our youth. But I'm telling you, like my niece and my daughter, they nuts over Hayden Christensen. That's their guy, and they grew up with as much as we could look at like episode 2 and go like, all right, Anakin riding around on the big space water buffalo on Naboo, is probably, a little funny in the love scene with Padme. But my daughter was 9 or when she finally saw it, and it was just the greatest thing ever. And now now she's older, but she's like, oh, but that's still mine. It's the way we think of like, Han Solo saying, laugh it up, fuzzball. And even us as an adults, we're going like, whew. That's a little cringy. That didn't age well, but you know what? It meant something to us when we were younger.
It did.
Well, we were children of the '80s, and if you're very critical and you go back and watch even movies like Top Gun that we love, there are a few moments where you're like, okay, that is the goofiest, corniest thing. But you know what? It made an impact on you, and you.
So we're now leading to a world of so many more characters that we now know about that are outside of Luke, Han, Leia, Darth, you know what I mean? There's only like a handful of them, and now we're in a position where our world has grown so much that there'll be other stories to tell, and the idea that there's going to be like a new Star Wars movie, like Heir to the Empire, that may have like suddenly like a Marvel movie, like someone like what's the big Wookiee that was in Boba Fett? I can't remember the character's name.
Chrysanthemum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, what if he shows up to save the day in one moment? You're going to get a huge cheer out of the audience, you know what I mean? And that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. We wouldn't have had that kind of context. But now there's a whole generation of young people that are going to cheer because, oh, yeah, well, I watched him, and I thought he was cool, and they think it's cooler than seeing Chewbacca show up.
All right, so what do you want to see in the next 3 episodes? Because that's what I'm wondering. We've given our predictions, and I'm kind of curious what yours.
Well, I guess the big question is like when Thrawn shows up.
Yeah,
he's going to show up, so he's going to be penultimate, which means either the episode before the last episode or he'll be the last episode. So you got to imagine that if Filoni knew that like episode 5 was going to like thrill everybody, he knows that he's got the Mandalorian. Was it second season when Luke showed up to like he's got that burden.
He needs that moment
where he knows that he's got to like have a big finish on something like that, but also set up for the next chapter in whatever storytelling Ahsoka and Mando is in.
I don't know. It's a delicate thing because there's this real fine line between fan service and I mean we saw a lot of fan service even in the 3rd season of Mandalorian, but it didn't. I didn't care.
But you know what I always tell people?
The Skywalker moment was awesome. That was a great moment.
Yeah, I also tell people it's like, hey, be patient and stop looking for like your nostalgia over Andor. Like Andor, I love.
That's my favorite.
That's a great show, but you've got to shift. You have to shift into its rhythm. And I mean, was there a better payoff than that whole prison break and everything? Like, I mean, but it wouldn't have been that way if there were some episodes where you're like, oh, I was hoping there'd be a space battle or something like that. No, it's a different show in this universe, and it's just expanding.
It's funny. I just rewatched Andor again, and I picked up even more detail. It holds up. absolutely. I mean, it's a different kind of show.
It is.
I don't know if kids will appreciate it as much, but the smart writing and the acting and the dialogue,
it's just going to get better.
But so we're looking forward to the end of the season. I mean, it's gonna. But we're getting another season out of this, right,
No.
Brandon? No.
No, this is going to roll into something else.
That's what I'm thinking. He's
Okay,
building
good.
the universe
This
for
is-
a big,
This is a standalone, kind of like Book of Boba Fett.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. You know, I don't mind that. That's actually probably better in the long run because then I don't like when they artificially stretch out a story.
Yeah.
Just get it said, drop the mic, and go. So, you know. All right. Well, hey, speaking of dropping the mic, you guys, it's time to get out of here. It's been another interesting episode of Geek Tank Radio, but the clock waits for no one. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Craig Brewer.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmsted, hoping you did go back in time and enjoy the Cooper Young Fest with us.